Agriculture Research Institute, Dr. A.K. Singh, to give the welcome address to the audience.
Honorable Chief Guest, His Excellency Mr. Andre Arjuna Correa do Lago, Ambassador of Brazil to India, Embassy of Brazil, Honorable Secretary Dare and DG ICAR Chairperson of today's function, respected Dr. Trilochan Mahapatra ji, Dr. Neeraj Sharma, Secretary Technology Development Board, Advisor and Head Technology Development and Transfer and NAV Division, Department of Science and Technology, Dr. A.K. Singh, Joint Director Research, very learned participants from IRI, and of course Dr. Neeru Bhushan, who is the person behind this whole program from PUSA Incubator. I welcome all of you on this very important program of Maitri, Indo-Brazil Agrotech Cross-Border Incubation Program. And we have Honorable Ambassador here, and he comes from Rio. I visited once Rio, it's a wonderful place. So welcome sir to PUSA campus. It's also known as seat of Green Revolution, where all the agricultural development started happening from the lands and the farmlands from IRI. India and Brazil are the growing economies, and agriculture forms the backbone of both economies. Innovation and entrepreneurship in agri sector are one of the key regions for their growth, thereby promoting agri startups with the innovative ideas. India has taken a lead in this regard, and we have established incubation centers across the country. ICAR itself, with its institutions, is spread all across the country. 100 locations we have got the incubation centers. Not only in the ICAR but other ministries also, they are working on incubations and finding out that how youth can be trained fruitfully so that they could establish their own entrepreneurship. PUSA Krishi Incubator at Zonal Technology Management Unit at ICAR Indian Agriculture Research Institute, along with ICAR Indian Institute of Millet Research Hyderabad in collaboration with Embassy of Brazil, and Protec, Brazilian Association of Science and Business Incubators, with support from Department of Science and Technology, is launching Maitri, Indo-Brazil Agrotech Cross-Border Incubation Program. Maitri is of its own kind and unique cross-border incubation program which focuses on promoting agri startup incubation, startup exchange and access to global market, thereby enabling the social, industrial and economic growth of both countries. On behalf of ICAR IRI, on the occasion of the inaugural program for the launch of Maitri, Indo-Brazil Agrotech Cross-Border Incubation Program, I would like to welcome His Excellency, Honorable Ambassador from Brazil, and also Dr. Neeraj Sharma, Secretary Technology Development Board, and also to our Honorable Secretary Dare and DG ICAR for being part of this very important program for us. Also Dr. Dalcidi Jesus Bagolin, Agriculture Attaché, Ministry of Agriculture, Livestock and Food Supply, Embassy of Brazil in New Delhi, Ms. Gloria Gante, Joint Secretary, and Mr. Gaurav Kumar Thakur, Under Secretary from Ministry of External Affairs. Of course, many of our colleagues are here, head of the divisions from IRI, along with Dr. Neeru Bhushan, who has been engaged in organizing this whole program. Our warm welcome to the 5 Brazilian and 5 Indian agri startups selected under this program. I want to congratulate them on their selection under Maitri for cross-border incubation. I wish them all the best in their business and stay in India. Maitri will contribute immensely to startups from both the countries and bring them on the global platform. This program will set up the precedent and will promote collaboration, networking, startup exchange, and trade between both countries. I wish everyone, especially the selected startups, on the grand launch of Maitri. And I hope that your stay here at Pusa campus will be comfortable. It's a bigger campus of 1000 acres, and you can have the feel of the agricultural lands here, right, just adjacent to this building. And if need be, we can take to the farms also, if required for the, and also the Junior Technology Management Unit. So once again, I welcome His Excellency and our Honorable Secretary there and DG ICAR, and also the representative including Sri Neeraj Sharma from the DST. Thank you very much.
Now I request Dr. Neeru Bhushan, who is spearheading this initiative at Pusa Krishi Incubator and has promoting entrepreneurship and incubation within the ecosystem.
So our journey started from 2009 when, with the help of the ICR, when ICR took a decision to work in the area of agribusiness. Then we started our journey, but that got amplified with the help of NAIP in 2009. And initially we set our process and procedure in the field of technology commercialization, and we launched our first program in 2014. From 2014 we are going ahead, and then in 2017 we got Nidhi TVI, and now I'm very proud to share with you that we are the lead knowledge partner for another Raftar scheme which is launched by the Ministry of Agriculture. Here we are assisting to the AC as well as empowering the Rabis, and IMR is also part of that Rabi network. So that's how we got selected, and along with the another 4 institutions in that we are also empowering to another 29 Rabis covering 23 states. And this is a very end-to-end scheme in which the very curated programs has been given at the scheme level, as well as the funding for the seed stage and the pre-seed stage funding is also attached. So establishing the incubator and then the curated program as well as the funding. So it's a very end-to-end scheme, and I'm very happy that around more than 6,000 applications we received from the startups in these programs, and 58 incubation program is currently going on in the country. And out of 600 applications, we selected 6,000 applications. We selected 600 applications for seed stage and pre-seed stage funding and the residency program. And under that residency program, we also after going the 2 months of the residency program, this is the little bit about this program, how they are going on. This is a very straight program and very competitive, and every stage there is a drop. And so mostly we are working on the commercialization part, and technology is one of the forte, and we work with the startup for the technology validation and technology refinement. We also give the technologies to our startup. Around 14% of the technologies whichever we have given has gone to these startups. So under the 2 months program, we give them the 360 view. Like we are also giving them chance to interact with the farmers so that they can validate their idea. We also help them to interact with the corporate so that they can learn the scaling up strategy, and so that some of the market linkages can be given to them. Another is we also give them the marketing platform, and so that they can showcase their product and they can validate their product as well as the visibility at the national media level. So these are some of the learning. Based on these learnings, we have this is just the summary of what we have done so far. Based on this learning, we have designed the Maitri program, and the program was launched in November. We got the huge response, and this you can see it was very competitive. Now based on the criteria of the novelty, and another was that the product should be commercialized in India. That was the major area, because some of the technically they were qualified, but they were at the pre-commercial stage. So we have not considered the startup which were at a pre-commercial stage. So which the startup which have commercialized their product in India and having the market traction. So we have selected that, and moreover we have taken into consideration the Brazilian market. I'm very thankful to my the persons from the Brazil, Mr. Pedro and Mr. Dalci. They helped us in giving their thoughts and in giving their suggestions that this is the good for the Brazilian market, and so that's how we came up from 2,290 to 5. So that's how it was. The selection was really very competitive. We had a very tough time to select because everyone was good, but they were lucky enough to get the chance. And another is under the program we'll be giving them, it is a 6-month long program, and now the first phase is 15 days the workshop in India in 2 phases. One is in Hyderabad and another is Delhi, and another week will be in Hyderabad in IMR. And then they will be going to Brazil in April, so dates will be announced very soon. And basically it is not a regular incubation program. Here we will be looking after some of the technology collaboration opportunities. If the startups can see the complementary solutions so that they can take each other's help in the technology refinement, and they can diversify their forte, and they can come together to do the business in both the countries.
Now I request Mr. Pedro Feza de Silva, Head of Energy, Environment and Science and Technology and Innovation Section of Embassy Brazil, to give an overview about MED3 of Brazil.
Thank you very much. After Dr. Bhushan and Dr. Dayakar, I will be very brief. I just wanted to mention that from the Brazilian side, this program is being supported by the Working Program of Innovation Diplomacy of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So the Brazilian startups are being supported by this program. And we are counting on the support of very important partners in Brazil, mainly the Brazilian Association of Science Parks and Business Incubators, Amprotech, which is helping us in the selection process of the innovation ecosystems in Brazil, which will be visited by the Indian startups. Actually, the first agri-environment has already been selected, is the Supera Park in the region of Ribeirão Preto in the state of São Paulo, a region very well known for sugarcane plantation, also for citrics, mainly orange. So I think this will give the Indian startups a very good overview of the one of the strengths of the Brazilian agriculture. Second, innovation ecosystem will still to be selected. We will be launching a call in the next weeks in order to select this ecosystem. Last thing I would like to mention is that this is a pioneering program under the iBRICS network. It's the innovation network of the BRICS countries. Actually, the BRICS network has been established in last September during the ministerial meeting of science technology ministers in Campinas in São Paulo, and where this iBRICS network was launched. And this iBRICS network was created precisely to stimulate and to foster these type of programs, cross-incubation programs between BRICS countries. So this is the very first program that is being established and is being organized, and will certainly serve as a model for the iBRICS network. So I'm really looking forward for these 2 weeks here and then for the 2 weeks in Brazil. Thank you very much.
Now I request Dr. Neeraj Sharma, Secretary, Technology Development Board and Head Technology Development and Transfer Division, Department of Science and Technology.
Namaste to the Brazilian startup companies. Thanks for using this. Good morning. Secretary, Department of Agriculture Research, Dr. Mahapatra, His Excellency Mr. Andre, Ambassador of Brazil to India, both the Dr. A.K. Singhs, Director and Joint Director, if I am correct in saying that, participants, startup companies from India, startup companies from Brazil, participants from the Agriculture Research Institute here, Dr. Neeru Bhushan, Pedro, my colleague Naveen Vashisht, and others, if I have not left anybody. very aptly, this program has been named as Maitri, which means friendship. And friendship it happens between two partners which have similar objectives, similar challenges, similar issues. And while taking tea with His Excellency, we came to know that we are in the same boat, with the same problems, with the same issues. Entrepreneurship starts where there are challenges. If there are no challenges, no entrepreneurship can come. So challenges and solutions, these are two parts of the same coin. We have to address them through entrepreneurship, and startup and incubation program is one of the very important key element to promote entrepreneurship in this country. DST, the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, has a gamut of activities right from the ideation to technology development, to R&D, to technology development, to incubation and technology commercialization. So we have a whole range of chain activities that we support from the Department of Science and Technology. Only day before we had this Technology Development Board meeting, and it's a very important board. We actually thought about and discussed as to how to promote these startups through the Technology Development Board mechanism. The Technology Development Board, which is I am presently the additional charge secretary, has a role and responsibility to support industries or the companies which are into commercialization of indigenously developed technologies or adapted technologies. It's not just bringing the technology here and using it. You have to adapt it. So primary aim is to indigenize or efforts into R&D leading to commercialization, and we support companies. These companies have been supported largely through the mechanism of soft loan, which is about 5%, and also payment in a very easy terms. So I'm going to here to promote the Technology Development Board as well, rather than in addition to the science and technology entrepreneurship activities. I wish these startup companies, both the Brazilian side and the Indian side, have to collaborate with each other. May not be one-to-one here, but maybe these companies can collaborate with the companies here in India and look for business opportunities. And it has to be a business-to-business collaboration. We just, from my point of view, I have discussed and told several times to my colleagues in other places that we have to increase this business or commercialization activities through these startup companies. It cannot be just a visit to India or visit to Brazil. It has to lead into some concrete and some worthwhile results in terms of business collaborations, and looking for business opportunities as well. May not be a collaboration, but if the business takes a business shape, for example, Brazilian startup companies come here and do a good business here in India, that would be the real outcome of this startup engagement program. So the technology business incubators, as I think this program is organized by the TBI, supported by DST. There are, as far as I know, there are 3 agriculture related TBIs supported by DST. One is in ICAR in Hyderabad. I think another one is in Millet Research Institute, again based in Hyderabad. We wish to have a formal kind of relationship with the Ministry of Agriculture. Probably if we can do with many more such organizations under the ambit of ICAR to have business incubation activity and support jointly supported by both the Agriculture Ministry as well as Department of Science and Technology, as is the case now. Apart from Brazil, we have collaboration and partnerships with many other countries, not only the bilateral science and technology agreements, but also incubation and entrepreneurship activities. I think if I remember, Canada is one, Switzerland or Sweden. Switzerland is another. US has, we have many things going on with the US. Russia is another partner. So we are sort of expanding our horizon to other nations as well, as far as the incubation and innovation activities goes on. I wish all the best to all the companies selected here as startup companies, and wish them that they have a very successful business here. You should expand, or whichever way you want to exit and start up a new thing on agriculture based activities, but you must first survive, grow, and eventually both the countries should gain from this experience. Actually, this experience will take us to start many more such kind of inter country partnerships. Thank you very much.
Now I request our esteemed chief guest, His Excellency Honorable Mr. Andre Arena Correa do Lago, to address the audience.
Hi. Good morning to all. It's a real pleasure and a great honor to be today in this ceremony in which we are opening the Indo-Brazil Agrotech Cross Incubation Program. I'm very happy that I'm here with Dr. Trilochan Mohapatra, and I have to say that as a Brazilian, when we read your functions, you're Secretary to DARE, and you are Director General to ICAR. So those two words that are absolutely essential in what we are dealing. We have to dare and we have to care. So I'm very, very happy that you have very good initiatives. Dr. Neeraj Sharma, lovely to meet you, and we already had a very good conversation before the ceremony. Dr. A.K. Singh, and Dr. A.K. Singh is fantastic. I'm fascinating, but and Dr. Neeru Bhushan. I know that we owe you a lot to all of this, but I want to mention also my agriculture attaché who is here, Dalcy Bagolin, who has been, I think, an enthusiastic fan of this country and trying to find more and more relations between us. And Pedro Ivo Ferraz da Silva, who is the head of science and technology at the embassy, who knows so many things about science and technology that I am afraid to talk to him every day. And I want to give a very special welcome to Ana Júlia, to Gustavo, to Alexandre Bonilha, to Muriel, and to Alexandre Chequim. I'm very happy also to have the young Indians entrepreneurs here, but it's much more rare that I see New Delhi, the Brazilian one, so super welcome. I'm very excited that you are here, and by what you described, everything will be new because I don't understand anything of all you have mentioned before. But I know that we have in Brazil 200 million cows of Indian origin, which is absolutely fantastic. And I'm very happy because yesterday I was in Bihar and we were talking about productivity of milk, for instance, Ana Júlia. So I think there are so many things that we can do together, and this is the objective of a program like this, is for us to be able to do things more than just know that we can do things, because you know diplomats in general say lots of things, etc. But the most important thing is the follow-up. And as we were talking before, I think that governments can do a lot, and I think that this event is a demonstration. But we know that we cannot do the follow-up on everything. So the business has to discover by itself that it wants to be closer to Brazil, or the Brazilians closer to India. Our institutions have to have a closer relationship that is independent of government. Our institutions are amazing in both our countries, but I have seen that unfortunately they don't know each other as well as we would love to see. So I want to mention also that it's quite auspicious that this is happening a few weeks before the state visit of the President of Brazil to New Delhi as chief guest of the Republic Day and then a state visit. The result of this endeavor will certainly be part of the agenda between Prime Minister Modi and President Bolsonaro, and I am sure that the two leaders will be delighted that this has happened. I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to all the partnering organizations that made this program possible. On the Indian side, the Department of Science and Technology, the Indian Council on Agricultural Research, the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, the Pusa Krishi Incubator, and the Indian Institute of Millets Research. And on the Brazilian side, the Brazilian Association of Science Parks and Business, that was already mentioned by Pedro Ivo, and the Supera Park Science Park of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs through this embassy here in New Delhi. My special thanks go really to the 10 brilliant Agritech startups representatives who are here. And I would like to say to you that I worked for almost 15 years as a diplomat on issues related to sustainable development. So I think that what you are doing is exactly what we are trying to achieve. The true sustainable development balances the economic, the environmental, and the social aspects. And I saw in all your presentations that this is exactly the objective. And I think that India and Brazil should be leaders in the SDGs. So I think this is a turning point in our bilateral relations in science, technology, and innovation. And I would like to come back to a relationship that sometimes is forgotten, that is more than 40 years old, and can be traced back to the 1970s, when a significant number of Indian researchers migrated to Brazil, mainly to São Paulo. I have to say that Pedro Ivo always puts that because he is from São Paulo and I am from Rio. Yeah. And some states in the northeast part of the country to work with the Brazilian space program and in various federal universities. In that same decade, in 1975, an Indian engineer, Gurmukh Sarkaria, was nominated the chief project coordinator of the construction of Itaipu. Very few Brazilians know that. Itaipu is a hydropower plant located in the border between Brazil and Paraguay, and which is still today delivers the highest electricity output in the world. The bilateral relations was formally established later in '85, when the first agreement on cooperation in the fields of science and technology was signed. And that's very interesting because it was only 3 months after the Ministry of Science and Technology in Brazil was established. So it shows how immediately, already in '85, we knew that the cooperation between India and Brazil in this area was important. After the economic liberalization in our two countries, which happened for different reasons, basically exactly at the same time, an increasing flow of technology transfer between the two countries took place, mainly in the areas of information and communication technologies, transport and pharmaceuticals. Companies such as TCS, Wipro, Mahindra, Lupin opened development centers and facilities in Brazil, whereas Marco Polo, Stefanini, and later WEG established themselves in India. In the scientific domain, as India-Brazil Scientific Council was established in 2001, promoting various activities pertaining to the exchange of scientific knowledge, such as bilateral workshops on molecular, advanced and nanostructured materials, theoretical matter physics, nanoengineering in renewable energy, oceanography, along with symposia on biomedical science and mathematics. This exchange further received an additional push in 2006 when the Joint Commission on Science and Technology was established. Under the leadership of that commission, 3 joint calls have been launched between 2013 and 16, which promoted cooperative research between Indian and Brazilian scientists in domains such as neglected diseases, biofuels, and oceanography. Further to the projects encouraged by the Joint Commission, Indian and Brazilian space agencies have been working together since 2007. by sharing remote sensing satellite images and tracking information. As an example, a Brazilian Earth station located near the city of Cuiabá in the Midwest of the country was used to collect localization data right after the launch of the famous Mangalyan Mars Orbiter mission in 2013. Next July, Amazonia 1, the first 100% Brazilian satellite, will be launched from Sriharikota in an Indian PSLV rocket. Another bilateral initiative worth mentioning is the cooperation between the Itaipu Technology Park of Brazil and the Indian Center of Development of Advanced Computing. Both entities have come to an agreement to build a 300 teraflops computing infrastructure at PTI using the Param Shavak platform developed by India. The partnership involves transfer of technology and knowledge through technical visits and exchange of engineers. In future, they also plan to collaborate in the frontier area of genomics, face recognition, bioinformatics, etc. As of now, our bilateral relation is evolving to a new phase, that of innovation and entrepreneurship. Since January 17, when the first mission of Brazilian startups came to India, a constant exchange of young and dynamic businesswomen and businessmen has been observed. Last year, 4 agritechs, supported by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, made a successful visit to Bangalore and showcased their technologies to Indian farmers and corporates. Last April, the first India-Brazil FinTech conference was organized in Mumbai and brought together technical specialists, investors and analysts from the two countries. As a result of this event, 3 interinstitutional cooperation agreements were signed and more bilateral activities are planned for the short-term future. As any good initiative should not only continue but also evolve, this Agritech cross-border program brings our relationship in science and technology and innovation to a whole new level. It is pioneering in many ways, from its cross-incubation nature to its results-oriented approach. It is the very first initiative, as Pedro mentioned, under the newly created BRICS Innovation Network, and is therefore bound to serve as a model to other programs between innovation stakeholders in the countries of the bloc. Once again, I would like to thank very sincerely the partners for the steady support, and I really wish all the entrepreneurs that are participating in this program to really bring Brazil and India together very strongly. Thank you very much.
Now, I would like to request Secretary DRE and Director General ICAR, Honorable Dr. Tirlochan Mahapatra, to please address the nation.
Very good morning to everybody present here. His Excellency Mr. Andre Arana Correa de Lago, Ambassador of Brazil to India, Dr. Neeraj Sharma, Secretary Technology Development Board, my colleague Dr. A.K. Singh, Deputy Director General Agricultural Extension and Director of the Indian Agricultural Research Institute, Dr. A.K. Singh, Joint Director Research, Indian Agriculture Research Institute, colleagues from Brazilian Embassy, my colleagues from various institutions of the country, particularly institutions of the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, and very importantly, the entrepreneurs from both sides, from Brazil as well as from India, particularly the startup incubators from USA Incubation Facility. Very good morning to each one of you. At the outset, let me extend a very hearty welcome to my colleagues from Brazilian embassy, particularly His Excellency the Ambassador of Brazil in India, and also colleagues, particularly the young entrepreneurs from Brazil. The Indian Council of Agriculture Research and also the Department of Agriculture Research and Education has a very cordial relationship with our other department, that is Department of Science and Technology. In various fields of science and technology we have been interacting. Thanks to my friend and colleague Dr. Ashutosh Sharma. In recent times we have been together on various committees and deliberating on to push these frontiers of our interaction further, so that the science, appropriate input from science as well as technology goes into different spheres, and in our case the agriculture, to be very particular, agriculture and allied sectors, so that we move faster than the rate at which we have been progressing so far. Of course, when His Excellency Ambassador Brazil was enlisting the areas of collaboration between India and Brazil and various facets of our activities, our collaboration in agriculture is quite old, and he did mention about the cows and particularly the ghee, the famous Indian breed, bringing a kind of revolution, what we call in India as the white revolution. The white revolution in India was primarily because of a new model of cooperative farming and marketing. Of course, science and technology contributed to this white revolution and played a supportive role. The kind of progress Brazil made in terms of productivity, we haven't done that, but by sheer number of cattle population that we have, and also by quite significant increase in productivity, though not as much as what Brazil did. So we have been able to produce more than 185 million tons of milk annually, and for more than a decade we are number one producer globally. And also at the same time, our per capita availability is quite higher than what is actually recommended. It's an altogether different matter that our population doesn't, every individual doesn't get that much of milk. It's quite a bit of uneven distribution in terms of availability, and also preferences. In many parts of the country, people don't like to drink milk. It's a matter of habit. So not that it's not available. Also affordability in certain regions of the country, though it is available, but the prices are not at the level that everyone can access it and afford it. So they are the kind of reasons why milk is not evenly available and distributed in the country, despite huge production that we have been able to achieve, and per capita availability being higher than what is actually recommended to be consumed. But coming back to the point that you did mention, that certainly the ghee and the improvement that Brazil has done, that's something which is unparalleled. And in the country, we always, discuss about it. Our limitations of kind of distribution of the populations and the socio-economy and the management systems which are actually in place, it doesn't give even full potential to be realized, whatever potential we have. Unlike the Brazilian system of commercial production, we have they are all private entrepreneurships, all farmers' enterprise, a private enterprise here, but that's not as a commercial, successful commercial enterprise as in case of Brazil. So that's a big difference. Why, despite the potential, that's never realized in the country. And productivity, average productivity remains low, though we have cows giving us 30 liters, more than 30 liters per day. But it doesn't, when we take the average, it doesn't really, work out that much. So these are the kind of, diversity and complex socio-economy that prevails in this country, and which, needs to be really, properly handled and then understood and then subsequently supported so that we improve upon our average productivity, which is often described. And similarly, in other spheres, I'll not go into the details. Certainly, India has done a wonderful job of feeding this 1.3 billion plus population and exporting the exportable surplus, more than 10 billion US dollar annually, and that is what actually reveals how the progress has been in the field of agriculture and allied sector. And I cited the case of milk production, more than 11 times. If we compare with 1950-51, we have increased production. And similarly, the egg production, 48-49 times we have been able to increase as compared to 50-51. The period is quite large, but the progress is very significant. If you see the global growth rates and compare with what is the growth rate in India, you find, for instance, milk growth and fishery sector growth more than 6%. And it's quite significant growth rate in these sectors, and similarly in horticulture. So, and fish, we are producing about 0.7 million tons in 50-51, and today it's more than 12 million tons, and second highest producer globally after China. And exporting 1 million tons, more than 1 million tons, and earning in the process about 7 billion US dollar, by way of exporting fish. So this is more than 17 times growth in fish production itself, and primarily because of scientific production systems and productivity increase and breeding systems in fishery sector, though we are not discussing today, and no entrepreneur in fishery sector, but there, our science and technology intervention has gone into it. In 61 different fish species, we have standardized and developed induced breeding programs, and in the process, diversified fish aquaculture system. Though all the 61 species